Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. As you can tell from the title, today's video is going to be the 10 books that I would love to read this autumn. 10 is ambitious for me, considering I'm telling you the 10 books that I want to read this autumn, but I'm also going to be uploading the 10 books I want to read in October, specifically because I love the month of October because it's spooky season and I get to read my spookier reads. It's kind of like how I treat Christmas and Christmas romances, but you will see that in my next video. So today we are going through the 10 books that I want to read this autumn. There's a variety of them. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the first book we've got here is The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This follows a group of teenagers who kind of band together because they have a special set of skills that allow them to assist in investigations. I always hear the description Criminal Minds, but for teenagers, and I love Criminal Minds, so of course I was dying to get my hands on this one. I've never read any of Jennifer Lynn Barnes' books, they just haven't really appealed to me, but this one I have been absolutely dying to get to it, so hopefully this can be one of my very soon next to reads. I'll pop them there so you guys can kind of like see them, right? Okay, next up we have a romance, but not just any romance. We have a novel love story by Ashley Poston. I actually read The Dead Romantics, which was my first book by her, back in October last year. I don't know, because it's not just a romance, it's like a supernatural element to it. I just feel like it airs on the side of spooky season reads, or autumnal reads at least. So when this came out recently, I of course had to pick it up, and obviously I'm going to read it in this time of the year. This follows a girl, I believe she is on her way to some sort of retreat, and she ends up breaking down and getting petrol or something like that. Something happens whereby she ends up in this town, and lo and behold, this is the setting of her favorite book. So that's literally like every reader's dream, to be able to visit a setting from your favorite fiction book. So that is what is happening in this book. I don't know much else about it, and I don't wish to, because I quite like the element of surprise in these books. So yeah, this is probably my most light-hearted books out of all of the ones that I want to read. Just very excited for this one. Next up we have Death in Her Hands by Tasha Moshfegh. Now I have only read one Tasha Moshfegh book, and that was My Year of Rest and Relaxation, which is like a cult book in like the sad girl, autumn girl aesthetic, especially here on like booktube, bookstagram, booktok, whatever. I love an unreliable narrator. I love an unhinged female main character. I love like quirky, out there, almost dark themed books, but that I just didn't really feel like I loved it. Like I actually loved Penance by Eliza Clark, which I would say is in that same genre, but My Year of Rest and Relaxation just didn't really do it for me as I really hoped it would. However, I am not going to fail Tasha Moshfegh's books just from that one. So we are reading Death in Her Hands. This one is, I believe, one of her older books. This follows a woman who is going for a walk in the park, and she stumbles upon a note that basically says, her name is Magda, nobody will ever know who killed her, it wasn't me, here is her dead body. And then this woman just obsesses over this, and I think she's going through some grief herself. Again, I don't want to know too much about it, just because with unreliable narrators, that is probably the best way to go. So I am very excited to get to this one as well. Next up we have The Virgin Suicides by Jeffrey Eugenides. So this, I'm sure you all know, is again another cult classic in the especially sad / autumn girl book TBR, I feel like. With this though, I feel like this isn't one I don't think I can binge through, just because of how heavy the themes are. I would absolutely search up trigger warnings if this is something that you are interested in reading. But this follows a group of boys, and it's from their point of view, I believe, of the Lisbon sisters. There's 5 of them, and basically they all, as the title suggests, I've actually never seen the movie, and I've been holding out from watching it because I really want to read the book first. I am very much book before movie kind of girl, so hopefully we can get to this so I can finally watch the movie of Virgin Suicides. Next up is from one of my auto-buy authors of all time, and I've read 2 of her books. I've read 2 of her books. I think she has 4. I've read 2 of her books. One, absolutely loved, think about it every day for the last couple of years since I've read it. The other one, wasn't the greatest fan, but it is Miss Mona Awad herself, and the book is Rouge. Now, for some reason, every time I read it, I want to say Rogue, and I just don't understand why. I had to really think about it then. But it is Rouge by Mona Awad. This is her latest one, I believe, that she came out with. All's Well was the one before that, which I also have, and I should probably read first, but it is what it is. So this is Rouge. I'm pretty sure this is a Snow White retelling, but of course very much darker, very Mona Awad-esque. So this will be, I feel like, a perfect read for like October, November time. Also, I just expect the absolute best from her, and I don't know, I feel like 15 Ways of Looking at a Fat Girl was just like a collection of short stories. It didn't really have a plot that I could follow. Not that Bunny was an easy plot to follow, but I feel like because this will have a plot and a storyline, I probably will, I don't know, just vibe with it a little bit more. So yeah. I didn't realize the next book is an Tasha Moshfegh book. I just remember seeing it and being like, wow, I was supposed to read this last year and I never got around to it, so let's pick it up for this year. But it is Lapvona by Tasha Moshfegh. This made its rounds all over the book world last year, and again, Tasha Moshfegh, as we know, is a very out there kind of weird literary writer, and this one I think may just take the cake. I don't exactly know what this is about. Even after reading the blurb, I still couldn't tell you what this is about, but this is a medieval setting and we follow a boy who was raised by his father. The blurb actually goes on about how he was like suckled by this blind woman from their village because his mother passed away when he was little, and I feel like a lot of really weird things happen in this book, and I've heard people who have read this book attest to that. So of course I'm intrigued. My interest is piqued, therefore we will try and get to this very soon as well. This has been sitting on my shelf for far too long, and then hopefully between the two Tasha Moshfegh books that I've got on my TBR, I can maybe kind of redeem her from my year of rest and relaxation. We are fully in like autumn sad girl book TBR right now, because next we have Eliza Clark's Penance. So I read Boy Parts. Yeah, Boy Parts by Eliza Clark, and absolutely loved it. I love these darker, again, unhinged female main character kind of fictions, but specifically when they are based in the country that you live in, so England, and being able to be like, this is talk about Tesco's. I know a Tesco's, you know what I mean? Like, it just gives me a little extra like, oh, okay, loving this. This one, however, follows, I think, like a group of people rather than just the singular main character, as in Boy Parts. I believe that a murder or something, I think a murder happens in this tiny, sleepy town, and then after some time, it kind of just goes into how the lives of the people who live in that town was affected, and it just shows you the inner turmoil that kind of triggering event caused, etc, etc. Again, I'm getting the vibe that it's going to be quite different to Boy Parts, but I am very excited to also read this because, like I said, I absolutely love Boy Parts by Eliza Clark, and it is just the season for books like these. The next book I've got, I'm sure all the girlies have read because everyone's talking about it, and I've really held out for some time, but we are going to be reading A Court of Thorn and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. This was bought for me last year from one of my friends on my bookstagram, but I just haven't got around to reading it. So I am not really that much of a fantasy girly. Like, loved Harry Potter and all of that, but like not like this kind of fantasy. So I am very intrigued because a lot of girls who read very similar genres and books to me have really raved on about this. So, you know, if it's sitting on my shelf, why not give it a go? I don't even know how to explain to you what this is about. All I know is that there's fairies, it's kind of spicy, sisters, I don't know. So let's go into it blind, because I'm sure this book will tell me everything I need to know with this tiny ass font, and we'll do it that way. Okay, the last two books I have probably have my favorite book covers out of all of my collections, but the first one is All the Lovers in the Night by Miku Kawakami. So with this one, we follow our female main character who lives quite a mundane life. She feels quite isolated, quite lonely, and then she meets a gentleman who kind of flips things around for her, and then she kind of starts looking as to why she feels isolated. It's a very thought-provoking but also sad girl book. I Know Heaven made me bawl my eyes out in like less than 200 pages, I'm pretty sure it is. So I would be I wouldn't be surprised if this book then made me feel so much emotions, because I don't know, there is something about Miko Kawakami's like writing that just absolutely is beautiful to me. So I just don't know why also this has been on my shelf for that long, because this sounds like an absolute dream. And last but not least, guys, we have Yukio Mishima's Beautiful Star. I also just need to read you like the little about me about the author, because it's kind of insane. Yukio Mishima was born in 1925 in Tokyo and is considered one of Japan's most significant post-war writers. His books broke social boundaries and taboos at a time when Japan found itself in a state of rapid change. His interests, besides writing, included bodybuilding, acting, and practicing as a samurai. In 1970, he attempted to start a nationalist military coup which failed. Upon realizing this, Mishima performed seppuku, a ritual suicide, in public. He was nominated for the Nobel Prize in Literature 3 times. This is a Japanese translated fiction. So it follows a family, but each family member believes that they come from like a specific planet. Like I think dad's from like Mars, like the daughter's from like Venus or something like that. So I'm really intrigued as to how that part of it falls into the mundane, everyday kind of life. I don't know, I'm just really intrigued. And this was written in the 60s. So I'd love to see how that book feels being written at that time, and for me to read it in the 21st century. So those are all the books that I would love to read for the autumn season. As you can see, a lot of them are very much sad girl autumn books, and I'm sorry, but that is just where it's at. That is the perfect time to read such books, because they are very moody books. So I hope that I do get through all of them. If not, it is what it is. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video as well. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't yet, please subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys in my next video.